I can still hear the way her voice cut through the quiet that night in our bedroom. It wasn't raised, and it wasn't angry. It was worse, calm, distant, and final. Not today. Get out, she said, her eyes never leaving the glow of her phone, like I was just some stranger interrupting her peace. I stood there for a few seconds, unsure whether to laugh, argue, or simply vanish. But deep down, something inside already knew. This wasn't just about tonight. This was the quiet unraveling of an ending I hadn't wanted to see. It hadn't always been like that. There was a time when Claire used to wait for me by the window every evening. She'd light up when I came home, wrap her arms around me before I even kicked off my boots, and ask about my day like it actually mattered. Back then, we were young, broke, and stupidly in love. We took on the world together, sharing cheap takeout dinners, late-night talks, and dreams about a future we couldn't yet afford. But somewhere along the way, that version of us got buried beneath bills, deadlines, and the silence of meals eaten without conversation. The shift came quietly. Her phone started staying face down. Her laughter stopped including me. Her excuses began to sound rehearsed. I told myself she was just tired, maybe stressed, maybe overwhelmed. But the truth was simpler. She was drifting away, one quiet not today at a time. I'd reach for her hand, and she'd pull away. I'd tell her she looked beautiful, and she'd just shrug, like compliments had become a language she'd forgotten. Still, I stayed patient. I thought love meant endurance, that it was about holding on through storms. I was wrong. That night, I came home early with her favorite meal, lasagna, the one she used to beg me to make when we were dating. I lit candles, put on soft music, and for the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of hope. I wanted to talk. I wanted to find us again. When she walked in, her face didn't change. "What's all this?" she asked flatly. "Just dinner," I said, smiling. "Just us." She sighed, dropped her bag on the couch, and repeated the same words, sharper this time, colder. "Not today. Get out." Something inside me went still. The echo of her heels against the floor, the faint trace of her perfume. It all felt foreign, like I was watching someone else's wife move through my house. I didn't fight. I didn't plead. I just walked out. Because sometimes endings don't come with shouting or tears. Sometimes they were the face of indifference. Outside, the air felt heavier than it should have. I remember sitting in my car, hands gripping the steering wheel, staring through the windshield at our house. The curtains were drawn, the lights dimmed. For the first time, it looked unfamiliar, like I didn't belong there anymore. I could see her shadow moving inside, calm, unaffected. While I sat outside, chest tight, I realized I wasn't just losing her. I was losing the life I'd built around her. I didn't drive far that night. I ended up parked near the old park we used to walk through after dinner, back when life was simpler. It was where I first told her I loved her, and she had laughed, saying, "You'll never get rid of me now." I smiled at the memory, even though it hurt. Funny how love can turn from a promise into a punishment. I sat there for hours, watching strangers go by, couples holding hands, kids riding bikes, and wonder how many of them were pretending to. By morning, I went to my friend Ethan's place. He took one look at me and didn't need to ask. He'd seen the cracks long before I did. "You can't keep fixing something she's not trying to save," he said. I wanted to argue, but I had nothing left to defend. Her words kept looping in my head. "Not today. Get out." It wasn't the rejection that hurt. It was how easily she said it, like my presence had become an inconvenience. In the days that followed, I tried to rationalize it. Maybe she just needed space. Maybe this was a phase. But her silence became her answer. My texts went unread. My calls ignored. When I finally went back to grab some clothes, she didn't even look up. "Didn't think you'd actually leave," she said casually, scrolling through her phone. "You told me to get out." I reminded her. She just shrugged. "Yeah, but you didn't have to take it so seriously." That was the moment I knew. It wasn't exhaustion or confusion. It was indifference. She wasn't angry or hurt. She simply didn't care anymore. I stood in that living room, surrounded by ghosts of memories that no longer belonged to me. That's when I learned love doesn't end with arguments. It fades through silence, apathy, and slow erasure. I left again that day, but this time I didn't look back. Weeks passed, and absence settled in like dust over forgotten furniture. I moved into a small apartment across town, quiet, plain, colorless, a space where nothing reminded me of her. At first, I'd wake up reaching for the empty side of the bed, expecting to hear her humming in the shower or the clink of her coffee mug. But there was only silence. It was suffocating at first, then numbing. I learned to fill the void with noise, late-night TV, half-finished books, long drives and nowhere, anything to drown the echo of her voice. Then one night, scrolling absent-mindedly, I stumbled across her post online. A photo of her smiling with friends at a rooftop bar. The caption read, "Peace feels better than pretending." It hit harder than I expected. I stared at that photo for a long time, realizing she wasn't grieving what we lost. She was relieved. And somehow, that became the closure I didn't know I needed. I wasn't angry anymore, just empty, because you can't fight for someone who's already moved on. But life has a strange way of rebuilding you. A few weeks later, Ethan called about a renovation project downtown. Work had always been my safe ground, structured, predictable, free of emotion. It didn't ask for love, only effort. And slowly, between blueprints and deadlines, I started remembering who I was before her. I stopped checking my phone. I started sleeping through the night again. I even laughed once and realized it had been months since I'd heard that sound for myself. Then one afternoon, as I was leaving the site, I saw her, Claire, standing across the street. She was wearing the same coat I'd bought her for our anniversary. Our eyes met for a second. No anger, no guilt, just quiet recognition between two people who once knew each other completely. She smiled faintly, almost apologetically, then looked away. And in that wordless moment, I understood not every goodbye comes from hate. Some happen when love simply runs out. That night, I stood by my window, letting all the memories wash through me. The laughter, the arguments, the silences. All of it. Then I whispered, "Not today," and turned off a light, because for the first time in a long while, it wasn't about her pushing me away. It was about me choosing peace over pain. Our marriage didn't end in betrayal or a final fight. It ended the moment indifference became louder than love.